So I'm just popping by to give you a little update on the upcoming super full moon in Gemini, which is a biggie because it's forming a grand cross with the fated lunar nodes. So a grand cross in astrology is one of the most challenging patterns in astrology. So it's basically the most challenging aspect in astrology is a square, and there's 4 of them in this pattern. And so basically, it's the moon, the moon in Gemini opposing the sun in Sagittarius, and they're both squaring North Node in Pisces and the South Node in Virgo. So that basically forms a square in the wheel. Okay, so now this has got the potential to cause intense conflict and tension within us, but also has the potential for massive transformation. So just, be prepared that this moon may feel really tough. And it's going to be very tough because it's going to be it's in the mental realm. Gemini, this is actually the card in the tarot that Gemini rules the lovers. And it's very much about, like, Mercury rules Gemini, and Mercury rules the mind, your conscious mind, your thinking, your mindset and how you think. And it will bring a lot of activity around your thought processes and your mindset and the mental realm. So it's going to be, Gemini's the sign of polarity, duality, choices. So, which is why there's the lovers represent choices actually in the tarot, in the lover's card. And so this is all about making choices. You're probably already feeling this. There's something going on in your life that's pushing you to choose between 2 things. So it could be like whether, actually I have a friend that's trying to figure out whether to buy a car. So it could be like whether to buy that car or not to buy that car, right? So whether to, pick up that phone and make that call to a person that you had conflict with, or to just let sleeping dogs lie. This is kind of the energy that will be happening around the Gemini super full moon. With the fated lunar nodes involved in the story, that means that something very fated is happening with these choices, or the choice you're meant to make. It's very important for your path. And so expect this to be connected to past stuff that you're trying to figure out. And especially the story will have started in the new moon in Gemini back at the end of May. Around the 27-28 was the new moon in Gemini. So have a look back then in your diary or journal and see what was going on, what was being seeded back then. What conversations were you having? Because again, this is Gemini, so this is like conversations you might have been having with someone else. It's you and the other person. So you in relationship to someone else. Things that were emerging then, or ideas between you. It could be just ideas that you were milling over back then. Or choices that you were thinking about. This full moon in Gemini is going to bring it full circle. It's going to bring it to culmination. It's going to bring it up in a way to complete it, get closure, or to heal and transform and let it go. It will show you why you have to let this thing go and move on, or that you need to actually revisit it, and it can be resolved and transformed. But it's going to be different for, it's going to be a personal thing that you're going to have to figure out. But it's going to be very much centered around choices, and you're going to. This brings Mercury into the story, because Mercury is the ruler of this full moon. Mercury's over in Scorpio still. I actually thought I got ahead of myself at the weekend thinking it was gone, that all the plans were gone from Scorpio, but they're not. Mercury's still in Scorpio. It's in its shadow in Scorpio for the next couple of weeks, so till the 15th, I think. So that Scorpio intense, going back into this stuff of the past, trying to figure things out, very intense thinking and thoughts. So that's bringing that into this Gemini full moon story, okay? You're gonna have all those same themes coming up in a very intense way, and it's going to be very internalized with this Grand Cross. But also you could experience it in your life with someone from the past, especially, again, like I said, with Gemini involves someone, you and someone. The story could be you, is most likely you and another person. And so from the past, so that with the fated nodes involved, coming back in, or they could pop up in the full moon to resolve, to close this thing off, or whatever it is. So that's what it is going to be, very fated. So watch out. But how we balance it out when we have like the full moon in a sign, we look to the other sign where the sun is, the opposing sign, which is Sagittarius. And that is how we find balance. The full moon is asking us to it's about balance, balancing those two polarities, Gemini and Sagittarius. Sagittarius is all about the bigger picture, like wisdom, higher knowledge, like expanding our worldview, our belief systems, It's all about, curiosity on a higher level. Whereas Gemini is about the kind of everyday, the details, the smaller things, the day-to-day things, the things that we get kind of obsessive about, stuck on, and we don't zoom out to see the bigger picture and realize that, that's not as, is not as serious or as bad as I thought. But that Sagittarius is the zooming you out to see it from a higher perspective, so that you're not obsessing about the details. But there's balance. We need both of those things. We need the Gemini energy, we need to care about the details and the smaller things, the everyday things. But we get stuck there. We don't see the bigger picture at play. And that's where Sagittarius comes in. So the key to success with this full moon is bringing in, like, this is a mutable Grand Cross. So because all of the planets in and the points in the cross are in mutable signs. So this is calling for flexibility and open-mindedness, all right? That's how you mitigate the difficult, challenging energies of the cross. So you've got to just have a very open mind these next few days. Take everything into account. Look at all different perspectives. Don't be rigid and closed off. Listen to other people's perspectives. You don't have to, take it on board, but listen, and maybe that could help you make your decision in the choices that are being presented to you in this energy. But very important to look back to the end of May, because you're going to really see like what this is all about. You'll see it, and again, like, that will help you see these cycles that play out and patterns that play out in your life. And then you can do a little bit of predictions in your own life, right, if you follow these lunar cycles. So basically the signs that are most affected by this full moon are the mutable signs. It's going to be Sagittarius, Gemini, Pisces and Virgo. But if you have planets or angles at any of these signs, these mutable signs, and especially at 13 degrees, because the full moon is going to be at 13 degrees of Gemini tomorrow at 11:14 p.m. Okay, so that's in the northern hemisphere. They're the signs that are going to be most affected. Check where Sagittarius, Gemini, Virgo and Pisces lie in your birth chart. Do whole signs houses is much easier. See the houses they sit in. That's going to be the area of life that is going to be activated by the super full moon fated Grand Cross. So yeah, take note, really be conscious of what's going on, and zoom out, bigger picture. Don't get stuck in the loop of the Gemini Mercury energy. Anyway, have a good one. Chat soon.